Now powerless you are. Farewell.
Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 30 most unfair and cheesy characters to play in video games. Question your friends if they pick any of these guys.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Gil, Street Fighter III New Generation. We'll try to refrain from filling this list with too many boss fights, but Gil is definitely worthy of being here. It isn't enough to defeat him in a traditional fight. Nope, strike him down and he'll return more powerful than you can possibly imagine. When downed, Gil can trigger a reversal that will allow him to almost instantly replenish his health bar. Thankfully, you can knock him out of this state before his bar is filled, assuming you're quick enough. But a boss fight suddenly getting to Marty McFly his way out of a fight through health regen is nothing new, which is why Gil is at the very bottom here. Scorpion, Injustice: Gods Among Us.
Your soul will burn.
Guest fighters used to have a notorious reputation within NetherRealm, the studio's player base. In the realm of Injustice, Scorpion was the biggest offender due to how he could be played in almost any way imaginable. He could spam attacks from a comfortable distance, or suddenly bum rush you with attacks that had little to no room for punishing on block or whiff. And of course there was the spam teleporting. Things got so out of hand online that Scorpion had to be severely nerfed a couple of times before he was tolerable. Even now, he's still a major pain in the backside. Funky Kong, Mario Kart Wii. On the surface, it doesn't seem like Mario Kart Wii's roster sports much of a difference between each other outside of weight class. Well, it's a totally different story if you play as Funky Kong. Despite being a heavy character, Funky is the only one in his class that offers a speed bonus in stats. And when paired with the Flame Runner cart, he can become a force to be reckoned with. In fact, one look at the speedrun leaderboards will show you that Funky is the top choice for speedruns because of that speed bonus that can be applied to an already speedy cart. Needless to say, if you ever did enter a lobby filled with Funky players back in the day, your goose was cooked. Number 27, Cinder, Killer Instinct. In a fighting game as fast and furious as Killer Instinct, it can be a little hard to tell who is truly broken and which character is just really volatile. Thing is that Cinder truly was a broken character. In the original arcade release, there was a glitch that allowed Cinder to pull off an infinite combo, meaning one hit was all it took to watch your health bar get deleted. The AI may not have had knowledge of this exploit, of course. However, the few who did know about it back in the day were most likely dominating their local arcade. Goku GT, Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Don't hold back on me just because I look like a kid, Vegeta!
Goku Fighter Z, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, is a game built off auto combos almost entirely. But don't expect that to carry you for every fight. No, if you truly want to stand a chance against stronger opponents but can't dedicate the time to learn your favorite character, just choose GT Goku. The child Kakarot has long been known to be the cheapest fighter on the roster, as most attacks punch above his size. On top of that, his own auto combos could diminish your health bar in just a few seconds. Emphasis on could because GT Goku has seen some nerfs over time, but some still find him to be insanely cheap.
If we and you work together, I bet we'd be able to take on anyone!
Electros, Pokemon Black and White. It's almost hard to find a pocket monster as unbalanced as Electros. Heck, it's hard to find one to begin with, but Electros is one that practically breaks everything we knew, or what we thought we knew. In Black and White, Electros possesses a passive ability called Levitate, which allows it to avoid any and-all ground-type attacks. Just one problem, Electric-type Pokemon are only weak to ground-type attacks. In other words, Electros has no weaknesses. What's worse is that this even applies to its lesser forms, Dynamo and Electric. Utter nonsense. Phoenix, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Go for broke! Fight! First attack!
The Marvel vs. Capcom games have been notorious for never being balanced, but a few characters tread into total BS territory. Phoenix is one of the two we want to address. While she does have lower health and defense than most characters, Phoenix can heal herself using her Healing Field hyper combo. You can also save your meter for later on for something even more busted. If Phoenix falls while the hyper combo meter is full, she resurrects herself as Dark Phoenix with a brand new health bar and attacks that hit harder than ever. Again, Marvel vs. Capcom has never been known for being fair, so we're almost not even surprised that this is in the game.
Ask not for pity from Dark Phoenix. There is none in her.
Freddy Krueger, Mortal Kombat. Before Scorpion was burning everyone and scaring folks away from injustice, a dream demon, Freddy, was ruining Mortal Kombat. Zoning characters can be fun, but when they're as busted as Freddy, no one's having fun. Through the use of his bladed hands, Freddy had an unbelievable advantage in range in addition to a couple of combos that could send you flying back if you got too close. It wasn't uncommon to see skittering hands and blades popping out every second or two during an online match. It also wasn't uncommon for players to quit upon getting matched with a Freddy player. And so the Dream Demon has gone down in infamy. It doesn't help that he may have been the reason why MK9 has long been delisted from digital storefronts.
Freddy wins. Fatality.
The Wraith, Dead by Daylight. Everyone in this community has a killer they believe to be broken. The Nurse and the Spirit have seen plenty of hate thrown their way, but the Wraith is a real problem that needs further changes. This guy can camouflage himself so well within the environment that it can be really hard for some players to even notice. Not only that, but while cloaked, the Wraith still has the ability to break pallets and doors, damage generators and vault windows. On top of that, staying cloaked gives him an increase in movement speed, allowing him to blast from one end of the map to the other in very little time. Blend all of this with add-ons that speed up cloaking and uncloaking animations or take away crucial audio cues, and what you have is a severely unbalanced killer. Kratos, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Whereas it took some tweaking in a year or so for Mario Kart Wii to become Funky Kart Wii, PlayStation All-Stars was busted the second it arrived, and it's all because of the Ghost of Sparta. Kratos was widely regarded as the best fighter in the game on account of his speed and various moves that could quickly build his meter in seconds. There was barely any room to counter his attacks, and before you knew it, every lobby was filled with nothing but Kratos players. Developer Superbot Entertainment did try to nerf him a couple of times, but they barely made a dent. The Ghost of Sparta was simply busted beyond repair. Rugal Bernstein, the King of Fighters 98.
Ready, go!
This dapper villain took on the role of final boss in the original King of Fighters and has made several memorable appearances since. Similar to many final bosses in fighting games, he was designed to be overpowered with his signature move Genocide Cutter, dealing higher damage than any other in the game. He was made playable in the King of Fighters 98, and from a pure strength standpoint, he surpassed every other character. That made him easy to play as, but a pain to face. Console versions even had a code to let you use his much faster second form, Omega Rugal, in case you really wanted to annoy your friends. Koopa Troopa and Paratroopa, Mario Kart Double Dash. On paper, it's hard to imagine that any Mario Kart racers are more unfairly balanced than any others, but Double Dash introduced special items unique to each duo of characters. Koopa Troopa and Paratroopa's special made them quick choices when entering the character select screen. Before they were added as items any racer could get, these minions had access to a trio of green or red shells. While the green ones made for excellent defense, the homing red ones made it much easier to get opponents out of the way. Each racer's special had benefits, but this level of offense and defense was unmatched. Lion, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege.
Dr. McIntosh is holed up in the serology lab, but external comms just went dark. Reach her location ASAP.
Each of the operators in Rainbow Six Siege naturally has their own strengths and weaknesses. However, when it came to Lion, weaknesses were hard to spot. His signature feat was using a drone to scan the environment, highlighting players on the opposing team through walls of all his teammates to see. Given the game's destructible environments, you and your allies could then easily unload into them. It got to a point where Ubisoft had to remove him for a while to figure out how to rework him. When he returned, he was significantly nerfed, with enemy outlines being replaced by pings on the map and shortened duration for how long they appear. Anakin Skywalker, Star Wars Battlefront II.
It was built so tough after all. Guess we shook it out for the bit.
To be fair, any character wielding a lightsaber and the Force is overpowered compared to most of those who don't. But when Anakin first released, he was on another level. Added to Battlefront 2 in early 2019, players only got to exploit him for a few months before the nerfs started rolling in. His retribution ability charged when he or his allies took damage, and choked every enemy around him when unleashed for 4 seconds. He could also hit multiple enemies with heroic might, a powerful blast that dealt more damage depending on how much Anakin was taking. Both of these abilities, along with base damage output, would thankfully be reworked as he was a nightmare to encounter.
Call this a diplomatic...
Ned Flanders, The Simpsons Wrestling.
Heavenly power compelled in the LU.
It was funny finding out the soft-spoken Flanders was secretly buff on the show, but facing him in the arena is no laughing matter. While you did have to unlock him and his regular attacks weren't too strong, his special abilities made him a popular pick. He's the only combatant in the game who can be revived after he's been pinned. Not only that, but his special move, which summons lightning bolts from the sky to smite you, deals the highest damage of any attack in the game. Who could have known that this mild-mannered churchgoer was so good at laying the smackdown?
1, 2, 3.
The Zerg, StarCraft. In StarCraft, players can choose to play as one of 3 different races: the human Terrans, the technologically advanced Protoss, and the violent alien Zerg. Each has benefits and faults, but when playing in multiplayer, the latter group is definitely the most problematic to face. Due to all of their weapons and structures being organic, it takes the Zerg much less time and costs less resources to build their attack units. While they are physically weaker than the other two, it gives you an edge at the onset as you can quickly overwhelm your opponents before they have a proper chance to defend themselves. If you want the early advantage, the Zerg are extremely enticing. Pet Shop, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage for the Future.
Perfect.
As an updated version of Capcom's original game, Heritage for the Future brought in several new fighters, including the insanely broken Pet Shop. Being a bird, he may not look all that powerful, but yeah, he certainly is. His wings give him ridiculous mobility and agility, making the possibility of landing a hit on him very small. His speed means he can rack up powerful combos with some moves being unblockable. In fact, he can summon icicles above an opponent and hit low at the same time. His opponents won't be able to block both. Understandably, his ability to suppress every other character has gotten him banned in competitions.
Perfect.
Monkey King, Dota 2.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Bury me with my flames.
Valve's ridiculously popular MOBA has seen a lot of characters get added over the years, but none were quite as unbalanced as the Chinese mythology-inspired Monkey King. Added in late 2016, the Monkey King was the type of character you could just watch pop off with high damage numbers, or groan if you were on the receiving end. His passive Jingu Mastery had no duration and could earn extra charge attacks that dealt higher damage and stole life. He had high armor and health. His Boundless Strike dealt major critical damage, and his special, Wukong's Command, created multiple clones with the Bash ability, which gave them a chance to stun and deal extra damage. Needless to say, he's been nerfed quite a bit.
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
Really? That's your best.
Dire victory.
Idol, Killer Instinct.
Supreme victory.
The final boss in Rare's classic fighter, Idol, undoubtedly brought in a ton of quarters at the arcade. However, if you went up against someone who knew the secret code to play as him, that basically ensured you'd lose the next fight. Idol is definitely a powerhouse with his ability to shoot multiple fireballs, massive horns, and a move that can reflect projectiles. Thankfully, it's only during his boss fights where he can heal himself, though that's just replaced by an ability that powers up special moves. He made it onto the console version as well. Being locked behind a code meant you could lord Idol over anyone you wanted.
Fight ready.
Sentinel, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes. Fans of this beloved mashup refer to a group of characters as the Four Gods due to how overpowered they are. Of the group, it's the gigantic Sentinel that seems the most unfair. It isn't just the mutant killing machine stature that makes fights unbalanced, though it certainly plays a part. You'd expect a lumbering behemoth to move slowly, but Sentinel moves with frightening ferocity. It also has a handful of unblockable attacks, which is more than a little annoying, and its specials take up the majority of the screen unlike many others, meaning there's no place to hide from taking damage. No wonder these things are so efficient. Bastion, Overwatch. No matter how many times Blizzard reworked Bastion's kit, he always seemed to pour damage everywhere while easily avoiding it himself. While in turret mode, Bastion's extremely fast fire rate led to many easy kills of the opposing team. Switching between turret and recon mode also gave him a huge clip size before needing to reload. And if he had a Mercy attached to him with a shield, there wasn't much anyone could do to stop him. All of these annoyances on top of a self-healing mechanic and an ult that could one-shot nearly every other hero. Thankfully, the sequel finally nerfed several of these overpowered abilities.
Victory.
Leroy Smith, Tekken 7.
Time to take out the trash.
Added through DLC in late 2019, it didn't take long to realize how Leroy broke the entirety of Tekken 7. At the EVO Japan 2020 tournament, 7 of the 8 top contenders fought as him, which just goes to show how badly he needed to be nerfed.
You win. Come on, sugar.
Prior to patches released that solely targeted him, he could deal heavy damage with minor button inputs. His ridiculous combo potential and the ability to parry most moves other than throws and projectiles made for a fighter that worked too well. Even if his attacks missed or were blocked, his recovery time made it hard to retaliate. These days, the game is all the better for having balanced him.
You're done. KO. You win. You're going out with nothing to show for it.
Akuma, Street Fighter series. Introduced in Super Street Fighter II Turbo, Akuma was a nasty piece of work to fight but a joy to use against others. While he looks and fights a bit similarly to Ryu and Ken, he's much stronger, faster, and has a few troublesome moves the other two don't. His phasing ability made it so he could pop up right behind his opponent while his mid-air fireballs would catch players off guard. On top of that, his super move became infamous for how much damage it could deal. He's been unbalanced in other games as well. After being added to Tekken 7, developers had to nerf his over-the-top X gauge.
KO. You win.
Ivan Ooze, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers The Fighting Edition. In most fighting games that let you unlock the final boss, their power is scaled back so that it's fair while playing against others. Well, the developers behind the mid-90s Power Rangers tie-in chose not to do that with Ivan Ooze. He's just as difficult to face in the hands of a player as the computer. He can fly, meaning that throws and low kicks won't work against him, and can even rise high enough so that most attacks in general will miss. He has a variety of fire attacks, one of which hones in on his opponent, and others which block projectiles. Even if you do land an attack, he has an ability to break out of combos. Bayonetta, Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. Fans were ecstatic to see Bayonetta get announced for the 4th Super Smash Bros., but for many of them, that excitement quickly turned sour when they had to fight against her. Her smash attacks, which called giant demonic appendages forth, had insane range. Her Witch Time ability could easily slow everyone around her, allowing for great follow-up potential. She was also great at juggling and had fantastic recovery. After a player won the EVO Smash tournament with her in 2017, players who used her the following year were booed throughout their fights. Players were likely glad to see her nerfed for the release of Smash Ultimate, as facing her here was usually an uphill battle. Mega Rayquaza, Pokemon series. While Pokemon is meant to seem balanced with different types and passive abilities, Mega Rayquaza is undeniably broken. As a legendary, it's already a pretty powerful Pokemon. Usually a Megastone is required for a Pokemon to briefly evolve into their ultimate form. But Rayquaza is the only one who doesn't need it, meaning a player can then give it a different item to hold and use in battle. Its base stats are also tied with Mewtwo's Mega Evolutions for the highest of any creature at 780. Even Uber tournaments meant for the ultra-powerful banned Pokemon couldn't handle him, and a new Anything Goes tier had to be created. Yoda, Soul Calibur 4.
Proceed onward.
Stop! Thanks!
You win. My ally is the Force.
This fighting series has seen its fair share of broken guest characters. Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube featured Link, whose long-range bow, boomerang, and bombs gave him an unfair advantage. But at least players could still land a hit on him, which was a lot harder with Yoda in Soul Calibur 4. The Jedi Master appeared in the Xbox 360 version, while PS3 players got Darth Vader, though Yoda could still be purchased as DLC.
Learn the way of the Force.
He used his short height to his advantage, making it easy for those who played as him to avoid many of their opponent's attacks. Coupled with his stature were his acrobatic flips, so you could essentially become a tiny spinning ball of death.
You win. Clear your mind of question.
Brigitte, Overwatch. While many players would rather let someone else take care of the team's healing, there's no denying how Brigitte completely changed Overwatch. She dealt pretty solid damage for a support hero, and she could easily keep her team well armored on top of their health. Her shield bash could also stun any character out of any ability, even able to go through the shields of tanks. Many fans credit her with having broken the game's meta, and so Blizzard has nerfed her to hell and back several times over. Her shield isn't nearly as durable anymore, nor do her repair packs offer as much health, and Overwatch 2 removed stuns from most characters. Meta Knight, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Introduced in the Wii's Brawl, no character in the history of Smash has ever been more unfairly balanced than Meta Knight. We had fast characters before, but he was faster. We had characters with great recovery, but his was better. His varied moves, including 2, where he essentially becomes a tornado of blades, could rack up percentages, and his general mobility made him an expert edge guarder. That's not to mention his down special, which could teleport him to either close distance or avoid damage. He has the honor of being the first Smash character to be banned in tournaments, and we completely understand why. That doesn't stop us from picking him all the time, though. Odd Job, GoldenEye 007. When players think of the most unfair playable characters in video games, Oddjob is likely one of the first who comes to mind. GoldenEye 007 revolutionized first-person shooters on consoles and was another multiplayer giant in the N64's library. But an unspoken rule between friends and siblings was upheld in nearly every household. No one's allowed to pick Oddjob. Despite being relatively normal-sized in his movie appearance, the villain's height is drastically decreased here. For every other character, you can shoot down the sights just fine, but for him, and because of the retro control scheme, you'd have to stop moving and manually aim. Anyone who picked him was almost guaranteed to win, leading to a legacy that will never be topped.
Check out these other great clips from Mojo Plays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.